Good morning, everybody. It's a wet old day today, Wednesday morning. Welcome. I'm continuing my thought from yesterday, really, which was about there being no shadow of turning from that lovely hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness. And of course, that hymn is largely based on a couple of verses from Lamentations. Now, you probably never read Lamentations. I mean, it's not a very encouraging book, I have to say, because it is the book that Jeremiah wrote when disaster had come on Jerusalem and the Babylonians and everything that he'd foretold about the punishment that was coming against Jerusalem came to pass, and there was terrible suffering in Jerusalem and terrible suffering for the people. And Jeremiah, even though he had prophesied it and warned them, and he suffered with them. He shared with them their sadness, and he wrote Lamentations full of sadness. But right in the middle of Lamentations you'll find in the middle of the book, really. If you found Psalms, go forward a bit. It goes Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, only 5 chapters, and right in the middle of it, in the middle of the middle chapter of the 5, in verse 21 of chapter 3 of Lamentations, it says, in the verse before it says, "My soul continually thinks of it and is bowed down within me." He was so sad, in a terrible situation. And then the next verse he says, "But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercy never come to an end." His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. He'd reached a point in writing this book where he had no hope. There was no future. There was nothing to lift his spirits at all. So he does this thing which I think we have to do now in the situation we're in, when it feels like this situation we're living through is never going to end, that it's just going to keep going on. We're going to be restricted in what we can do, in who we can meet, where we can go. And church can't be the same. Meeting family can't be the same. I've had to abandon the idea that my grandson, who I haven't seen for a year, could come at half term next week. And the reason for that, because he lives in Deal and we live in Chard, and it's 4 hours and plus drive away. And if he came and stayed, and if things suddenly got very worse, either at his end or at our end, he might have to stay here, and then his A-level studies would be disturbed. We can't risk that. Plus the fact that in his family there are 3 children who all go to 3 different schools, and his mum, my daughter, and her husband, they go to 2 different places of work, and they live in a completely different part of this country, and who knows what they might carry with them to us here in Chard. And Chard has been really quite well looked after by its population over this period. Can't run any risks. It's not fear, it's being sensible. So if I could get quite down about that and feel terrible about not seeing either of my daughters, my grandchildren, haven't seen them for over a year. But Lamentations 3:21, Jeremiah says, "But I call this to mind, and therefore I have hope." So when we get really low and we feel miserable and we feel frustrated, locked in, call this to mind. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion. Therefore I will hope in him. When we are in him, we have hope. We have hope for the future. There is hope. We shouldn't look down. There's the old classic, I often say it, but it's so true. Two men looked through prison bars. One saw mud, the other stars. You choose how you live through this. You can brood on the things, you can brood on the bad. You can spend your time thinking about the dreadful situation in the world. But we have a choice to look up, because we are citizens of another country, of another kingdom. We are citizens of a kingdom that we will possess for eternity. And this passing phase in our life is passing. It will pass. And we will come out of it the other end. We will have learned a lot through it. But we will prove through it that God is faithful. So, new every morning are his mercies. Great is your faithfulness. So new today, this morning, the mercies of God extended to us are new. They are new. He looks on us with favour, with love and compassion, and he is faithful and constant, and he never turns away. He never loses sight of us. He never forgets what's happening in our lives. He is amazing. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he can know exactly what I need and exactly what you need and exactly not what anybody else needs all around the world. He knows everything. And he's able to be faithful to every single person who is alive today, which is phenomenal, unbelievably phenomenal. But it is true. Great is your faithfulness, O Lord. Great is your new every morning. This morning, his faithfulness, his mercies are new and extended to us afresh and extended to anyone who will hear and respond. His faithfulness is extended. Praise his name. What a wonderful thought for the day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.